Hello, you are tuned into AWANI Review with me, Cynthia. The media and content landscape is shifting rapidly with consumer behaviors evolving faster than ever. So today we are diving into the future of Astro and how the group is navigating these changes. And of course, just a quick note, as many of you know, Astro AWANI is a subsidiary of Astro. Joining me today, it is my pleasure to introduce Euan Smith. He is the group CEO of Astro, and really excited to have you here, Euan, for the very first time in our studio. It's taken quite a long time,
It's
4 years.
taken a long time to get here. Yeah.
All right. So you've been here for about 4 years now, since you've landed in Kuala Lumpur. I believe this was right at the height of the pandemic.
Right in the middle of COVID, I couldn't get here for 3 months.
Okay, so
had to run the company from my kitchen table in the UK.
Okay, so 4 years in now. For those of us who may not know you as well as us here in AWANI, could you talk to us a bit more about yourself and how connected do you feel to Malaysia at this point?
Oh, connected to Malaysia, 100% La. So, I've been here for 4 years now. I really love this place. Yeah, I just think the vibrancy that the country has and the cosmopolitan nature of society is fantastic. And wind that in, it's also kind of a privilege and a duty to be leading what is effectively Astro, feels to me like part of the fabric of this society. You know, when you 3/4 of the country's looking at us all the time, 80% of the country's listening to us all the time. We are the biggest single digital publisher in the country. The honour and the privilege of that just resonates the whole time. And then when you're out and about in society, of course, I adore KL. I think it feels like a city that's just been dropped in the middle of a rainforest. So I love the fact that I can get into the greenery all the time. Absolutely adore that.
So we're Malaysianized at this point. Now, you talked about running the business back in the UK during the pandemic. So you were specifically chosen for this role at Astro. What was the mandate then, and what were you brought in to achieve with this group?
So look, pay TV globally is going through a seismic shift. You used to have pay TV was organised around satellites. It was organised around channels. There were some big players, the Disneys and etc. In the world that dominated the landscape. And in every country there was a pay TV operator that was a kind of a one-trick pony single play. So it was a satellite and it was a set-top box. And I think over time, with the rise of the first wave of disruption with Netflix and the rise of Disney plus Hotstar on the app and things like this, and then more in this part of the world, the Views coming to the fore and iCheese coming to the fore, there's this huge disruption taking place, and it's moving the entire industry from legacy technology, satellites, etc., to on-demand streaming technology. And that's hugely important and great for consumers in terms of choice. But it does, for a pay TV operator, it does mean that you have to rethink your entire business model. So we're in the process of doing exactly that. And it's fairly common around the world when I talk to my peers in other global players. They're finding the same kind of stuff. And we're now actually in the second wave of disruption. So the disruptors, the Netflixes and the Disneys and the HBOs that did the first wave of disruption with their apps and their direct-to-consumer products, they're now finding themselves disrupted. So the second wave is coming in. So it's the TikToks, it's the YouTubes, it's the Apples, it's the Amazons, it's the people who actually have a completely different business model and a different way that they regard and think about content. So the job in Astro is basically to move us from where we were legacy, is to move us to a completely different structure with a significantly reduced cost base, same fabulous content. Yeah, the content that we make is second to none in my opinion, but to do that in a much more streamlined, interesting way and to create new businesses.
How would you describe Astro right now in words?
We're in the middle of a journey. We're in the middle of a journey. We used to be known for, I guess, satellite, legacy, a reasonably constrictive cost structure. We used to always be known for great content. We used to be known for rain fade and that kind of stuff. And to an extent repeats. That's a function of if you don't have on demand, then you need to put the same content on a number of channels regularly to make sure that the most people can see them. So that's where it was. And then I think if you look forward today, I'm really proud of what the team has delivered over the last 4 years, because we've gone from that kind of single play, satellite set-top box. We now have a satellite and set-top box play, but it's completely integrated. It aggregates a huge amount of apps. it actually, the box nowadays doesn't care whether it's connected to a satellite or not. It just runs like any other IP box would run. Doesn't need a satellite. And then we've built these adjacent businesses alongside because we need more than one revenue stream. So the adjacent businesses we've built, my baby Sucker, which is a completely different way to monetize our content and to reach a different audience segment. The launch of our Astro Fiber product, which is to add value by adding a broadband machine and a broadband proposition to what customers can take on top of TV. Obviously, also to expand into the enterprise market, to do completely new things in the hotel and the bar and the Mamac space. And then last but not least, to completely change the advertising game, because when you have the kind of numbers that we're talking about in terms of ears and eyeballs of the country, the integration of that and able to create a holistic viewing audience and a watching and listening audience is extremely powerful if you can harness that for advertisers. So we're on a journey. We are, I think we've kind of like new Astro exists, but you know, there's always inertia in a market. It always takes time for people to appreciate new products and understand the new way of motions and things. And so we're on that hockey stick right now.
All right. We'll get to all this new business that you're talking about and this baby of yours later on in a moment. But I just want to quickly just address this. You have been driving some major changes at Astro since you've came on board. You have, of course, steered the company towards, like you mentioned, more digital, streaming. You've also streamlined operations and right-sized the workforce. Just give us a sense of how things are looking now with Astro, with these initiatives that are in place.
Look, I think we're... as I say, we're on a journey. When I came into the company, we talked about 6 really big rocks of cost and legacy structure that we had to fix. 3 of those I think we've done. Yeah, we were a company that had an awful lot of headcount, an awful lot of resource, an awful lot of legacy. And I think over the course of the last 4 years, we've made great strides in AI, in mechanization, in machine learning, in doing more efficient processes and in removing ourselves from businesses where we clearly were not going to win and weren't going to be able to make any profit. So we've done an awful lot of that. I think we're about probably 60% of the way through that process. So there's some hard things that you have to do. We've reduced the headcount by over 40% since I've been here. And that's as we've mechanized and as we've moved to new technologies and things. I mean, it's quite hard because on one hand, Astro and every pay TV operator is a content company. And we live or die by the quality of the content that we make and that we buy. But we're also a technology company. And I think quite a lot of the time people forget that, but some of the things that we're doing in the technology space, whether it's the digital, whether it's things like Astro Fiber, or whether it's reinventing the entire way we do studios, like this one here, or we make great content, those things, we're at the cutting edge of those things as well. So I feel like we're running super hard, but we're a long way from there yet, because as I say, markets have inertia, and it takes time to build a new perception. Astro has a great legacy. We've been 27, 28 years in business, and that comes with a great heritage, but it also comes, people think they know what Astro is. And so the challenge is migrating people to what Astro really is. And that's the journey that we're on.
All right, let's talk about the future of Astro and particularly content, which I'm really excited to talk about. Because we have produced some really, really great content. You look at the Astro Show, for instance, 70% market share in the local box office. Amazing movies the past couple of years. Police Evo 3. We have recently Sheriff, Narco, Integrity. Talk to us about the strides that we're taking to realize the ambition, which I believe would be to make Astro a top content producer and also aggregator for regional and local content.
Sure. So look, we make amazing content. Before I arrived in Malaysia, I was privileged to be in a lot of boardrooms where the content guys and everybody would talk a lot about where great content was coming from. And you would obviously hear Hollywood, and you would obviously increasingly hear Korea as a place, and then people would talk about the great upcoming, art theatre that's coming out of France or Poland, and to an extent, some of the rom-com type stuff coming out of Thailand. And not once did anybody say Malaysia. And yet when you get here, and I actually sit in this building and I watch what our team, yours and my team, do every single day, the quality is as good as things that I've seen anywhere else. And the quality has been improving all the time. I think historically, again, Astro kind of used to be where kind of like the Western and the Korean and the Hong Kong kind of Cantonese TV came from. But the reality is today is that all those things are pirated. So we're not going to pay top dollar and premium rates for those things anymore. And 77% of all of the viewing that takes place on Astro today is actually local content that we've made or that we've bought from around the region. I mean, that's an incredibly big number. So, you know, I can go down all the various categories, but let's pick out some of the ones. So, movies. Astro makes 70% of what takes place in the local box office. So this isn't just about Astro, this is about an entire content industry being propped up by us and effectively in the work that we do. And we have some fantastic partners, yeah, but effectively that whole industry, yeah, is being generated and created by Astro, the people that are in this building, which is just an enormous, you don't find that anywhere else in pay TV. Anywhere else in pay TV. It's an enormous asset that we have. And the quality is fantastic. As you said, Sheriff, for example. I mean, Sheriff's almost 70 million ringgit at the box office, I think, now. We've put it on Astro first, and it's going great guns on Astro first now. But it really, you know, the reason for doing Sheriff, one of the things was to showcase to the wider world the quality that we can now put out. And for me, Sheriff stands alongside anything that Netflix can do. Anything that iQIYI and View are doing, anything that the more traditional players, the Disneys and those people are doing, yeah, it just stands as a quality product for the quality of its storytelling, the quality of its acting, and obviously its production and post-production, which is just sensational. Then you look at other things here. Again, I arrive in market and Liga Malaysia is not a thing. Yeah, we are the home of sports, and yet there was no investment going into the Malaysian Football League. It was being shown for free on YouTube at fairly grainy quality. And you go, that's just fundamentally not right. So we had an opportunity and we took it and we took over the first season. And again, you can see the effect, yeah. We had 8 million viewers for the first season, yeah. The footfall has gone up in the grounds significantly as a result of all the coverage that we've done. Footfall in grounds, attendance is up by over 50%, I understand. Yeah, and we're building an ecosystem to really showcase and champion what's great and what's fantastic about Malaysia. Further on than that, yeah, I can go for this all night, unfortunately, Cynthia, but Gaygarvaganza, the biggest single show in Malaysia, yeah. Absolutely fantastic numbers again, yeah. We got we went to the Axiata and we put the finals in live in the Axiata Arena here in KL just last November, yeah. We sold it out in a days, yeah. 8,000 tickets, yeah. 8,000 tickets of people just screaming for their fans and things. It's just the power that we have in this company to be able to inform, educate, entertain is fantastic. I mean, what you guys do in AWANI is fantastic. You know, Malaysia's most trusted news brand for 70 years. It kind of wow, yeah, that we have this huge, fantastic asset that's built. So for me, being able to be part of that and be part of driving the next generation of content, because obviously our content slate, we're always looking at new things, we're always looking to do more. We're increasingly also talking to third-party app providers, the new guys that are coming in town, the Mango TVs and people like that. We're looking for those guys to help round out what we do. The industry is in turmoil. But it's a fantastic time to be in the industry because the quality of what we're doing and the passion that 2,800 people in this building bring to their work every single day just is exceptional.
I do want to pick your point when you mentioned that the industry is in turmoil. We know that market at the Axiata is all a bit slowing down, shrinking. I think the question is how are we planning to put Astro back on track, and how do we become, you know, when people think of content, Astro is the place to go. Streaming, aggregator, we are the place to go to. So let's talk about that. What are some of the key things that excite you moving forward, and do you think will really be the boost or the key drivers for Astro moving forward?
So there's only 3 things that we need to do. So the first thing is all about our customer base and growing back our customer base, because there is still a huge role for an Astro U-Box, whether that's Ultra or Ulti, in the home as the central place in the home which is aggregating a bunch of great content that we make, that we buy, and the third-party apps. So we have 13 on the platform now, and there's a couple more to come in the coming weeks. Yeah. So we have that as the kind of like the fundamental premise of Astro. And as I said, it doesn't care if you have a satellite or not. It just works perfectly. And it has not only all the channels, but it has 100,000 things on demand. Yeah. So people talk about, well, there's a lot of repeats. Or if you've watched 100,000 things and then you've watched all the content in 13 of the apps that we have, then yeah, okay, there might be repeats after that. But no one ever will watch the amount of content that we actually have available. Yeah. So I guess that's the first thing. And where we're going to now is increasingly we've spent a lot of time reducing the legacy cost of this business because it costs a lot to run an operation, a pay TV operation. Yeah. But as I've talked about these big rocks, as we're breaking down those big rocks over time, and as we're becoming more lean and agile, the reason for that is so that we can actually provide money back and become more valuable for customers. And that's in the form of pricing, and it's in the form of more content for the same value, for the same price rather. So we've done both of those things. So in market, we used to have this kind of like floor price for a good Astro, kind of like a package, which was about 60 ringgit. Well, if you go into market today, that's 42. Why are we doing that? We call it kind of like rakyat friendly because it's tough out there in the market in Malaysia at the moment. It's tough around the world. You have people worrying about, you know, how am I putting rice and chicken on the table and these sort of things. So we need to be able to find price points where everyone can enjoy and love our content. And that's why increasingly you'll see as we're able to take the cost out of the business, yeah, we'll provide that back to customers in the pricing that we offer. That is fantastic. Since we've started doing that, we've seen actually we've increasing greenfield ads by about 20% already. Yeah, we've not been going for very long. We've also putting significant content into the base as well. So Liga Malaysia used to exist in the sport pack, but again, it's a Malaysian asset, it's Malaysian heritage, and so Liga Malaysia is now available to every single Astro customer. That's the pay TV side, which is build back that thing. But clearly, in today's world, not every customer wants Astro. I get that, yeah. But everybody wants brilliant content delivered on their terms. So for the people that don't want the current Astro and don't want all the kind of like family and the lean back and that kind of full fat premium kind of experience, that's why this baby exists. So Suka is our OTT play that will be for the new demographic, for the new people that want to consume content in a different way. So what is Suka? It's the entirety of the sports proposition. It's an increasing large amount of the originals and the signatures proposition. We're rounding it out. It now has 15 of these fast channels, which are the ad-supported channels to get extra viewing, extra content in there. It has Korean in there now. It has kids in there now. It's basically, it's more of an independent single product, yeah. Most of our sales are on mobile at the moment. We have a TV product as well, which we're now using the stick to be able to get to every single TV.
So just slot it into your smart TV.
You simply put that into HDMI and you connect to Wi-Fi and off you go. Yeah, it's that simple to get up and running.
So is Suka the answer to those who prefer not to opt for a pay TV subscription?
100%. It's a monthly contract. You can dip in, you can dip out. Yeah. The pricing is, again, as we've been working over time to reduce costs, the pricing has come down quite significantly. If you were watching Suka, I want to watch it now, 68 ringgit, you can watch the Euros and all the sports content and everything that's in there, yeah. And there are pricing, if you're just want to been a mobile sort of thing, there's like 12, 13, 14 ringgit prices. We even go now as far as daily passes. So you can just buy, if you just want to buy for a weekend, you can buy for the sport for a weekend. So it's all about flexibility and giving the customer more choice and more value. So that's one of the key things that I think is the play going forward. Then the other plays that are going forward is, obviously, we built Astro Fiber. So 2 years ago, we built this broadband machine. Yep. Why have we done that? It's because when we are able to take a TV package that the customer's paying for, and we can bundle it together with a broadband package, we can get efficiencies, we can get synergies, and as a result, we can pass synergies on with that bundle, which is a cheaper price overall to the customer. So we've done that. We're seeing great traction for Astro Fiber. It's 21% up year on year. Again, it's a very, it's a dog-eat-dog market out there. You have the telcos that do extremely big discounting and things, and yet despite that, our proposition is resonating with customers because we are putting the two things together and able to offer real strong value.
All right. Now, that's fantastic initiatives. But I do want to touch about, in terms of revenue, if you look at total revenue for the group, 80% still, TV subscriptions still make up about 80% of the group revenue right now. So with all this that you have mentioned, do you anticipate a shift in these figures in the future as Astro places bigger emphasis on Suka, enterprise products, fiber, and all the other great stuff that you've mentioned earlier?
I think if you, so if you look at, we're on the same curve as I've said, most global pay TV operators. If you look at the curve for, let's say, Foxtel in Australia or MultiChoice in South Africa, True Vision in Thailand, Sky New Zealand, and even the big boys, so the Dishes and the Comcasts and people like that over in the States, yeah. We're on the same curve, which is a decreasing but stabilizing revenue base coming from the traditional pay TV product, yeah. Okay. A fast-growing revenue base and fast-growing customer numbers from the new products that we're all doing, because this is similar, yeah. A entirely new revenue stream coming from Astro Fiber and the equivalent packages that they've got, and then moving into other revenue streams. So you'll see plays around the world now increasingly. You'll see people going into gaming. You'll see operators going into other places such as home security and automation and music to some extent, and also going to where we've recently gone, which is Astro Studios. Now, Astro Studios, effectively, we used to make like 99% of the things that we made in Astro Studios was for us. And again, when I came in, you realize that you're sat on this incredible asset with an incredible group of people, and you're not really sweating it enough. So over the course of the past 2 and a bit years, we've done 2 things to Astro Studios. We've invested a huge amount of money in clever things like Dolby Atmos and in XR capability, so we can pretty much put anybody in any studio anywhere in the world like that, yeah. And we've also, where we were missing gaps in our capability, we've acquired. So we recently acquired a company, and we've integrated them now to finish off and do real quality post-production work. The culmination of that 2 years of activity, we launched a couple of months ago, and it's called Astro Studios. And what is it? It is a fantastic group of people that is now available for any third party to come in, yeah, and we offer a full set of services. So you're a content creator, you're a storyteller, and you want to actually build a piece of content, we can do absolutely everything for you, all the way from helping you with the script, right the way through getting it shot in studios and any of the outside broadcasts that you want to get done, all the way through all the various steps that get done in like localization and post-production, etc., to create you a finished article. Now, why is that great? One, labour triage here compared to the rest of the world means that Malaysia is always going to be very cost competitive, yeah. Who wouldn't, as a third-party producer from overseas, want to come and spend a few months in Kuala Lumpur? As I've said, it's an amazing place to be and to work. And you get this fantastic team that will help you build. So we're starting to do those things now. So Moontown Games, for example, who are the e-gaming platform, are now using us. We're doing more and more third-party pieces of work to really build the revenue stream that is not dependent on what Astra's making. It's actually helping the entire global industry to build.
That's fascinating, because if you talk about Malaysia, it isn't exactly known as, you know, a film production hub, or
which is outrageous. Outrageous.
I'll let you talk more about that. But for you, seeing the talent and assets here firsthand, what opportunities do you think are on the horizon, not just for Astro, for the industry as a whole?
Do you know what I would love? I would love that when I finally rolled off this amazing project, that Malaysia had become the new Korea. Yep. So if you look at how Korea has built its industry, which now has culminated in things like Parasite and Squid Game, and they are kind of like the golden boy for what good looks like. But they started that journey 12 years ago. They started it by deciding as a nation that film and TV would be one of the pillars by which they would raise the knowledge and raise the nation's standing. Yep. And so it requires a real effort from government, from regulators, and also from each of the players in the market to really build that and bring that up. Now, as far as Astro goes, obviously we're in conversation with FINAS and all these other guys to help drive and to help build that, yeah. But equally, you couldn't do that until we had our own house in order. Yeah. So the whole idea of Astro Studios is now I feel that, well, we are bench ready, yeah, match fit to actually be able to go and sell that and distribute that stuff abroad. And so that's why we're now pushing super hard, is to say, what else can this industry do? Because I'll be honest, yeah, Media Prima makes some great stuff, yeah. Increasingly, you're seeing people like RTM also making some good programming. Some of the third-party production houses like Scop are doing amazing things, yeah? If we can all, as an industry, be gathering together more and showcasing Malaysia as opposed to the individuals, yeah? If we can be showcasing Malaysia more, yeah, it's a rising tide and all of our boats will go up. So I'm really keen on developing ways, finding ways that we can take Malaysia to market in the future, so that in 5-10 years' time, when people in the boardrooms of, you know, Sky, for example, in the UK, or Netflix, or anybody like this, when they're thinking, when perhaps the View team are thinking about where do I build great content, Malaysia's on the map.
So is that the objective that you have for yourself?
I would love it if I was part of that process. You know, it's going to take an entire village to build this thing, but if I was a small part of that process with the team that we've got, if you could walk away saying that's what we did, yeah, wouldn't that be a fantastic place to be?
Wonderful. Now, I do want to talk about, and speaking about industry, one issue that is very critical to the industry is, of course, piracy, illegal streaming, be it on the website or on TV boxes. So Astro is making great efforts with regulators and authorities to combat piracy. Can you talk to us about this effort, and what do people not know about piracy and its impact towards the industry as a whole?
So look, it's illegal and it's morally unethical and it's simply wrong, and that so many people do it is just baffling to me, absolutely baffling to me. You know, it's like you go into the mamak, you graze the buffet, you pick your roti canai, you go and sit and you eat your roti canai, and then you walk out. No one would do that, yeah, in a physical environment, because it's just plain wrong. So why do people do that when it's digital streaming product? Because they think they can, because they can get away with it, yeah? So, but it's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels, because, you know, if people are if people are using pirate services, paid or free, they're not actually letting us provide tax to the government. They're not letting us provide money to an entire industry. It's not just about Astro. This is about the entire content creation industry. And I think people need to remember that a lot of viewing from the free-to-airs, actually comes through the Astro platform. The huge bulk of free-to-air viewing is through the Astro platform. So if Astro's in trouble, the industry is in trouble. And I think that doesn't always get picked up. But I also think that piracy also, the things that customers and consumers that use it perhaps don't know, is every time you buy one of these illegal boxes, and you get the illegal content and it's coming in from Cambodia or Slovenia or wherever else it happens to be with these pirate groups, there's also a huge amount of betting on there. There's a huge amount of pornographic material on there. There's a huge amount of malware on there, And you're opening yourself up whenever you put one of these boxes and you plug it in. You're opening yourself up to being, you know, identity theft and fraud and all the things that we, the government, society, are trying to combat. Every time you plug one of those in, you're actually giving the pirates help. So I fundamentally, I really struggle with it. I really struggle with it. And I struggle with the volumes that we're now seeing. You know, we'll have, for example, one of our episodes will get stolen, and you'll have Facebook groups and Instagram groups, etc., etc. But most importantly, Telegram. There'll be like 300,000 people watching illegally, and you know, well, why is that? And it's just because people think they can get away with it. But they're actually depriving, as I've said, they're depriving an entire content creation industry. There's a film producer, there's a camera operator, like these guys, there's you and there's me, that spend our entire livelihood and invest a huge amount of money in that content. So having it stolen for free, it just makes no sense. So we, again, we're Astro, we need help, regulators, we need help from, the police do a fantastic job for us. We're doing raids all the time now. With the police, we took down a server farm quite recently. It was a huge server farm supplying, almost 100,000 customers. We just took the whole thing down. The police helped us massively with that. And of course, big sentences, big fines, etc., etc. People have to realise that it's like, this is just like going and taking roti chai from the mamak. It's not okay.
But as you've pointed out, a lot of this illegal content are now available on platforms such as Telegram, and TikTok. How's the collaboration like with this sort of platforms which are taking
It varies per
content?
platform, and it would be wrong for me to be talking and calling out any platforms, but it varies per platform. We have some that are outstanding, that help us hugely, and we have some that are rather still working in the dark ages, that require, you know, take 48 hours, take 2 weeks sometimes to take down a piece of illegal content, that they need to up their game, and so we're asking help from MCMC and the government. We're asking help from those guys to better regulate and to force the ISPs and to force the social media providers that you've mentioned to find a framework that forces them to help us combat piracy. Because it's not, again, it's not just for Astro, it's for the entire content industry in Malaysia. That's why we're so, well, we'd be upset if it was just Astro, but it's not. Fundamentally, there's a bunch of great production houses and a bunch of we all will lose horribly, if piracy wins.
Okay, now, in a couple of minutes that we have left, now considering all these challenges, let's focus on what could propel Astro forward. You've mentioned a bit some of the key businesses that you'll be focusing on, but looking ahead, what are you most excited about in terms of Astro's future? Are there specific contents that you're particularly excited to share with the audience today?
So look, we haven't talked much about sports apart from Liga Malaysia yet. I am a huge sports fan, and I love, what gets me excited is not just when we put the EPL on, so 380 games of the EPL, huge viewing audience, etc. Very passionate. Every time I go out into Malaysia, somebody will talk to me about their fan base and things. Usually it's Liverpool, Man United. Occasionally you'll find a Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Spurs fan. But everyone's really passionate about it, and so you feel like actually we're driving some excitement and passion. But I get equally excited these days by the Malaysian sports that we're bringing to the big screen. So Sepak Takraw, which has pretty much grown from nothing over the course of the last 9 years, and it's now a fantastic service that we offer. The AFC Cup for this part of the world. But then real ground stuff, so the netball league that we now show, for example, and the volleyball league that we now show, for example. It's about building out those kind of like niche sports. So we're going to do much more of that to build them out, because they all have a fan base. They all have a right to be on the TV screen. They all have a right to sponsors and getting support, etc. So I think in sports we're all about that, and I just love what's coming up in that space. The other space that I'd say, what gets me most excited?
TV, series, films?
So the next film's coming up. I mean, you know about Project High Council, right?
Yes.
Which was an absolute standout success for us. Well, Kahar is the film version of that, which is coming out later this year. That's definitely going to be a big one for us. Gegar Vaganza, of course, will be back again. Of course, Malaysia's biggest show has to come back again for its 11th season. And then if you look at some of the other things that we're doing, let me call out another one that's quite close. So on the 12th of July, we're launching our latest Astro Originals. We're doing some brilliant Astro original work now, so One Cent Thief and things like that, most recently would be ID and Framed, The next one on that, there's like a conveyor belt. There's a bunch of really cool kids that work down in Astro Short, and they have this conveyor belt of great series coming out. The next one's Exchange. And it's written by a reasonably young guy compared to me. A reasonably young guy called Lem. He's the first time he's run a whole show himself. It's called Exchange. It's about warring families and what happens when you have duty to a family on one hand, but you have this dream that you could grab with the other hand. Where do your loyalties lie? It comes out on the 12th of July. I've seen most of the episodes now. It's absolutely outstanding. It's just another example of the real quality stuff that we're putting out.
All right, well, looking forward to that. And thank you so much, Euan, for spending some time to talk to us about your insights and also Astro's future.
Absolute pleasure.
Best of luck. And
it's great. Before we close, it's great to be here, Malaysia's most trusted news brand. What you guys do is absolutely outstanding, and congratulations on your recent AI awards as well, because doing that whole stuff in the newsroom and getting journalistic intent and integrity together, it's pushing the envelope, So you and Ashwad and all the AWANI gang, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We need more guests like you to come on the show. But it's fantastic to hear that from you. Thank you, Euan. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to what's coming ahead. Thank you. you.